You already know this game. You probably already know the rules. Chances are you've played it yourself, or at least know someone who has. Standing in a dimly lit bathroom, staring into the mirror, working up all of your courage to call out her name. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary is perhaps one of the oldest ritual games. It's definitely one of the best known. It's been played by school-aged children for hundreds of years. Historically, it was a divination ritual that encouraged young women to walk up a flight of stairs, backwards, holding a candle in one hand and a mirror in another, into a darkened house. As they would gaze into their reflection, they would be shown a vision of their future husband. Of course, there was also the risk that they would see the Grim Reaper, which would tell them that they were going to die before they ever had the chance to marry. There are hundreds of backstories on how the legend of Bloody Mary came to be. From murdered mothers to little girls fallen ill. Tragic tales told to fill in the backstory and give reasons for the game. Historical figures have been labeled as the infamous figure, from Elizabeth Bathory, who was known as the Bloody Countess and was convicted of murdering hundreds of young women, to Mary Worth, a witch executed during the Salem witch trials, both being named as the ghost scene. However, most historical accounts account for the legend of Bloody Mary is based on a real-life person, Mary Tudor, the first Queen of England. Mary's story actually begins with her younger brother Edward IV taking the throne. He took the throne as a Protestant, which was in direct opposition to the heavy Catholicism that Mary practiced. When Edward died 6 years after taking the throne, he attempted to subvert his father's wishes by leaving the crown to his Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey. He was intentionally excluding both Mary and her younger half-sister, Elizabeth, from the throne. Now, Mary could have sought safety and lived out her life without incident, but this is not what she chose to do. She instead gathered support from the noblemen across London and rode in and claimed what was rightfully hers. During her first year of reign, many Protestants fled, but those who stayed became the targets of strict heresy laws that carried out a brutal punishment: burning at the stake. Bloody punishments were the norm, with execution methods ranging from beheadings to being boiled alive, burning at the stake, to being hanged, drawn, and quartered. Now, Mary was no more a tyrant than her predecessors or her successors. However, being the first Queen of England, her gender played a pivotal role in the formation of her image, especially during her own lifetime. Arguably, the most important factor in the Bloody Mary nickname was the rise of the rejection of Catholicism. In a memo that the Queen herself issued, she explained that execution should be, and I quote, "so used that the people might well perceive them not to be condemned without just occasion, whereby they shall both understand the truth and be aware to do the like." But Mary had grossly underestimated the Protestants' faith and their willingness to die for their cause. Unable to leave out of Mary's reign are the 280 Protestants she persecuted and burned alive. These executions are the main reason for the unfortunate nickname and are cited as justification for labeling her as one of the most evil humans of all time. Along with the facts of the brutal punishments laid out under Mary's reign, was a 1563 book by John Foxe, known publicly as Foxe's Book of Martyrs. It played a pivotal role in the creation of Mary's identity, detailing the torment suffered by men and women alike who were burned at the stake under Mary, told through word-of-mouth accounts and through graphic illustrations. It should be noted here that the accuracy of Fox's manuscript remains a point of contention among historians to this day. But during the height of the book's popularity, it was immensely available, with copies even being placed in local churches alongside the Bible. Fox's account would no doubt help shape the popular opinion of Mary and her reign. For generation after generation of schoolchildren would come to know the first Queen of England simply as Bloody Mary. Little, if any, of that history is remembered by the players of the game today. The legend of Bloody Mary has shifted and changed over the countless schoolchildren retelling the tale generation after generation, testing their friends to tempt fate and give it a try. While the details of Bloody Mary legend and the game may tend to vary, the basics are always the same. A participant, either alone or with a friend, enters a darkened room with a large mirror, generally a bathroom. Lit only by candlelight, he or she looks into the mirror, while chanting Bloody Mary's name a specific number of times, most commonly 3, but can range up to 13. Sometimes you spin, or sometimes you just stare directly into your own reflection. Variations of the chant also are such things as, I believe in you, Bloody Mary, come to me, Bloody Mary, I killed your baby, Bloody Mary, or simply just reciting out her name, Bloody Mary. It depends on the version of the tale you were told. Once the ritual is performed, if it was done correctly, Bloody Mary is said to appear in the mirror. Other accounts say that she appears behind you. Bloody Mary is almost always a reanimated corpse, but has been described as also a witch or simply a ghost. In very few accounts, she may be friendly, but generally encountering her is not a pleasant experience. For she is said to reach out from the mirror and scratch your face. Or by summoning her, perhaps you have released her from her afterlife confines, and she will haunt you forever. Other versions indicate the mirror will drip blood. The participant will vanish, never to be seen again. Others yet state that the participant has to endure the apparition screaming at you, cursing you, strangling you, stealing your soul, drinking your blood, or scratching your eyes out. Now, why would anybody do such a thing? The legend still holds firm that by tempting the fate to encounter Bloody Mary, you will be shown a vision of a future, possibly your future love. Now, for every 10 people who attempt this and have absolutely no result, there are at least one person who will claim that the ritual worked and they encountered Bloody Mary. Of course, science would dispute this, and one explanation for the images that people claim to see when encountering Bloody Mary is something known as the Troxler effect, or Troxler fading. What your brain does is it filters what you see on a continuous basis. Only some of what you see is actually considered relevant by your brain, and it will tune out what it considers the non-relevant things. The brain will zoom in on a desired area, and the rest of it in the space around will fade away. An experiment performed where people were asked to stare into a mirror in low light for 10 minutes. If the results of the study are to be believed, they do not sound like a fun 10 minutes. The descriptions differed from person to person, but indicated everything from a huge deformation of the person's own face to what was most widely reported at 48% of respondents reported seeing fantastical and monstrous images. The Troxler effect works by fading out the features that a person isn't directly staring at. The things are filled in with what's around it. It can work on a white background, such as in the image you're looking at now, but when done to a face, it distorts it to absolutely horrifying images. It should also be known that the Troxler effect isn't stationary. It causes the images to move around what you're seeing. The person will instinctively turn what it's seeing in those distorted images into something it can recognize, even if it's something that scares them. Try telling that to people who have encountered Bloody Mary. I'm sure they don't think it's an optical illusion. So, I've done all my research. I've looked into the history and the lore. I've looked up countless rules and explanations. I've decided to give this a shot for myself.
Here is my bathroom. Completely empty. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
So is there a truth to the legend of Bloody Mary? Is it an optical illusion? A psychological effect of your vision? Do you just see what you expect to see when you walk into a dimly lit bathroom? Do you have a paranormal encounter? Is there some truth to the tales? Can calling out to the vengeful spirit of Bloody Mary reveal a future vision in your reflection? I have never encountered Bloody Mary. As many times as I've played this ritual, both as a child and now as an adult, it's always yielded the exact same result. A spooky buildup, creepy feelings, and no Bloody Mary. Truth be told, I don't really think it matters. It's become an almost childhood rite of passage to stand in the dark, dimly lit room and tempt the fate of the possible wrath of a spirit. To reveal your future, or just for the bragging rights of saying you did it. As long as there are children in bathrooms with mirrors, the legend of Bloody Mary will continue. Play at your own risk.